Hi, my name is Bree Gray, and I'm the Director of Communications and Press for the Allegheny College Student Government. Will you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Desmond Hargrove. I am a junior at Allegheny College.
And can you tell me a little bit about what you do on campus, some of your activities that you're involved in?
I am the current president of the Beta Chi chapter of Theta Chi, which is one of the fraternities on campus. I am also a part of the Bond organization, which is a civic engagement, community-based program, which involves taking students from the campus, so college students, and getting them invested in some of the nonprofit organizations around Meadville, whether it be like the schools or they have the art house. I think it's called Max, I believe. I'm not sure, but we do a lot of like helping the community, trying to provide whether like education or life skills for like young kids and stuff like that. Um, Along with that, I am partially a part of some groups on campus. Like I attend ABC meetings. I attend what is it? I attend the Black Girl Magic meetings, and there's another one I can't remember. It's been so long. It's been so long since being on campus. Oh man, I can't remember right now. But I also enjoy playing basketball whenever I get the chance. With the COVID restrictions, and just trying to hang out and meet new people. Just get to see people in their own habitats and just see what the options are around campus, what interests are.
And then you mentioned that you do a lot of service through Bonner, and I know that Theta Chi has its own like philanthropy. Can you talk a little bit about what type of service you particularly have done, what it means to you to get out there and actually be involved in the community?
So for me, I have been mainly stationed at the Outreach Center, which is a somewhat of like daycare center mixed with an after-school program for children, I think from ages 2 to 18. We after school they come to the outreach. We provide them with a snack, and then afterwards, if they have homework or any assignments that they work on, we have a designated area in which we work on homework and assignments. We help with reading, math, the whole shebang with school. And then if you don't have homework, you either go to the computer lab or do one of the activities we have planned for the day. And initially, I did not think I was going to be, that invested in it. But over time, I just love just hanging with the kids so much, seeing them grow and seeing them like become a part of my life and watching them develop and become the young people that they're going to be. It's just been so crazy. Like when we returned, not this semester because we weren't able to be in person with them because of COVID, but last semester when we came back from break, it was just so exciting seeing how like excited they were to see me and like, oh my God, we missed you. I was like, oh, this is so crazy being like to really see that the work you put in and like the time and effort.
It's 9 o'clock.
That's my computer, sorry. I forget about that all the time. But it's just really great seeing like all the time and commitment and effort you put into them really pay off and like see that it's showing that you're making a difference in these people's lives. So that's what I do with Bonner. And with Theta Chi, our main philanthropy that we try to reach out to is women's services. So usually every year they have I believe it's a domestic abuse walk around the beginning of the fall semester. I don't think it happened this year though, again, because of COVID, but we usually participate in that. We try our best to just stay in contact with them and see if they're doing any like events, protests, or anything we could just help out with that. Along with that, we also do our best to like support USO, which is like Theta Chi's national philanthropy that they get involved with.
And you talked a little bit about, what service meant to you, but, what has been your biggest inspiration in life that's kind of led you to explore these different avenues of service and just the hobbies that you are engaged in as well?
That's a good question. Honestly, I would say it all would start with like my dad being such a caring person. I just always remember him as being someone that, like, if he had the means to be able to do something for somebody else, then he would do it, because, like, why not? If you have extra to give, if you have the time, if you have the resource, you have no reason not to be able to help others that don't have those things, especially if you're in a position that you can do that. So I've always been very fortunate to have more than most and have the ability to then share that with others and help them, you know, be in a better position, feel better, achieve more, this and the other. But it was in high school when I started attending the neighborhood academy that they really fostered this, like, this passion for wanting to see other people not just live, but like actually thrive in life. Because I feel like a lot of people, like, they live, they get by, they survive life, they have the means that keep them alive, food, a house, whatnot, but not a lot of people really actually get to live and experience life, especially to the extent that I have so far at this age. So anytime I have any ability to, like, help other people expand their potential in life and have a better chance of making things a little bit easier, it just always makes me feel like I'm doing what is right and what I'm supposed to be doing. Because, like, other than that, there's not much to, like, what am I really doing if I'm not helping others? So being there allowed me to get a lot of experience. One of my favorite things was every Thanksgiving, the basketball team would go to the Rainbow Kitchen and we would serve Thanksgiving dinner to the homeless. So we had, like, cook full course meals. Each person on the team would get a different meal to prep. I had to cook the turkey, and that was so much fun, but it was so scary at the same time because, like, I'd never cooked a Thanksgiving turkey, so that was oof. But, like, doing that and seeing all those people come in and how, like, grateful and happy they were just to have us serve them food was so nice. We've been to multiple different, like, old people's homes and churches to help, like, package things, hang out with people, and just, like, spend a day with them. And it's always just, like, it just gives me this feeling that that nothing else really gives me. I just feel so happy and fulfilled. Like, this is what life's supposed to be like. People together, bringing out the best in everyone. So once I got to Allegheny, well, actually prior to going to Allegheny, the someone from the Bonner organization came to my school and was telling us a little bit about Allegheny and then about the Bonner program, which got me interested in everything together. And once I got here and was able to join up and was a part of it, it's just been all uphill since then. I've been loving it, just being able to be more involved, be as helpful as to many people as possible, and finding another group of people that care about being passionate and helping others as well has been really nice. Seeing all these other people that are like, yeah, I want to see everyone do better, not just myself or not just my small group, but, like, the world itself.
Okay. So what would you say challenges you to be that better version of yourself? I know you mentioned your dad a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Is he, like, your role model or something of that nature where, I see that you're actively challenging yourself not only to do better for just you, but to do better for everybody around you as well and to uplift other individuals too?
I would definitely say my dad was my role model. And, well, he still is my role model, honestly. Like, unfortunately, he has passed, so he's not here to see all the things I try to do, but he's my inspiration for wanting to be that better person. Because, like, again, like I said, anyone that I know or happens to know him that comes across me always just reminds me of how he always would make people smile, always just brighten up the room, always was just that person that, like, when you see him, you just immediately, like, things would be better, things would be okay now, things would be great. And, like, I somewhat aspire to have that same energy with people. I love being able to come around, and if someone's down, if someone's just not, like, feeling the best or whatever, I can now, like, by some way, maybe it's through making jokes, maybe it's through giving them something they need, just anything, make things just a little bit better. And it makes me feel like I'm doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like what challenged me to do it is just the fact of, like, throughout life, I had a couple moments that I've definitely been very down, and things just seem like what's the point anymore? What's the reason for getting up and doing anything? And, like, I know what it feels like to just want to give up and just not want to do anything anymore. You're just like, there's nothing I can do. Things won't change. Why should I try? But then after that, I realize, like, if I want things to be better for myself, if I want things to change, I have to be willing to make that change. I can't just expect things to just change because I'm upset, because I'm sad, the world's going to just fix. No, like I have to be willing to put in the work and the effort to make these things better, to make my perception of life better, to make whatever it is that's getting me down to no longer get me down. So after I had like changed my whole perspective of life, I was like, I got to do this. And then I know how hard it is to want to be that one to do it yourself, and how hard it is to have that self motivation to get up and make change. But when you have just like, even if it's just one person pushing you, just one person supporting you and telling you that you can do it, it just gives you so much more energy to be like, you know what, maybe I actually can do it. Maybe things will be different at the time. Maybe this will be finally the moment where change can be possible. And like that builds so much support momentum that it can just go so much further just from one person then believing it, then it's two people, then it's four. So like I guess that's what challenges me, is just knowing that like if I'm not going to do it, no one else will. So I have to.
And I know you talked a little bit about having been in a place before where maybe you weren't at the like happiest that you are now. You smile a lot. I see a lot of your Instagram pictures and a lot of your mental health posts. Is that important to you? Just kind of, I know you mentioned it briefly, but kind of supporting other people's journey on discovering themselves and, you know, obtaining a better state mentally and like mental health wise.
Oh, most definitely. Mental health has definitely been like a very important thing for me in the recent years, because recently I've been open to the idea of the fact that like I may also be suffering from mental health. And like, even though I haven't been professionally diagnosed by any like doctors or therapists or anything or whatnot, I've had talks with counselors and other people who like said, since they couldn't professionally diagnose me, would say it seems like these symptoms could be a possibility or whatnot. And afterwards I would decide I want to do like more research into like, okay, what can I do to help not defeat this, because like it's not something you could just destroy or get over and like, you know, I'm totally fine again. Like you will have moments where like you'll feel like all your hard work or all the development you made isn't paying off, or you're now like in a relapse and you're back in a bad place, because like that's just life. Moments happen, you get hit with things and you don't always know how to exactly respond to it, experience it, or whatever. So like I've just been doing my best to try and see like what it is I can do to make sure that whenever these moments do come up, how can I take them in, feel them, experience them, and then move on to what I need to do next. Because you can easily get caught in those feelings and feeling hopeless, feeling depressed, feeling like the world's all over. And like to you, those feelings are very true and very real, but they're only as real as you want them to be. If you feel like life is over, life will be over. If you feel like you can't do anything, you won't be able to do anything, because you're telling yourself it's already impossible before you even get a chance to do it. So like I don't want to stop any of my progression in life because I'm the one saying I can't. There may be days where you have to take a break and you're like, you know what, today I can't do anything. Like I'm too drained. I've been pushing myself too hard and I need a little break. And there's nothing wrong with taking time to compose yourself, regain your strength, and like just calm down sometimes and step away from the scene. But as long as you just make sure that you are going to get back out there and like, all right, I'm in a better place now. I do have the ability to do this. I am prepared to take whatever struggle is going to be. That's all that matters. You just can't let yourself get stuck in that state, because like no matter how much you cry, how much you struggle, the world never stops for just one person. Like it will keep spinning. Everyone else will keep living their lives, and then you'll either get left behind because you were too scared to try to step out, or you'll be like, you know what? I'm tired of being in this position. I want to do better. I want to see better.
And you know, if you were to look back at the way you were during your first year in at Allegheny, have you noticed a difference between from the time that you were a first year student to the time you're a junior now? As you feverishly nodding your head, yes.
Oh yes, I've definitely noticed a dramatic change in who I am completely. Like my freshman year wasn't bad, but I also was very, very shy, very anxious, very unsure of myself, and it made it really hard to like really step out and do much. I was very fortunate to be able to come across Theta Chi and like find so many people that I felt like connected with and trusted with, that I could like call that place my home, because like I just didn't have the ability to go out into any other organizations or any clubs or just any people and like make friends, because it was just so hard. I had such a strong fear of like rejection or feeling like outcasted that I did not do anything except for hang out with those guys for the majority of my freshman semester. And like when I look back on it, I don't regret it at all. I feel like it was the best decision I could have made, especially at that point in time. Because like I said, I just did not have the confidence to want to step out and do anything, but they just had the confidence in me and saw all the potential that I had. And like hearing them say those things gave me the ability to be like, you know what, maybe I can become better. Maybe I am like this funny person that they say I'm, like all these things. And like slowly over time, I would be able to like feel confident enough to go out and, you know, try to make friends, try to step out of my comfort zone and do more things. And it was just so amazing, because like now I definitely like I'm so much more willing to do almost anything and give someone a try at least one time. I'm more open to going to start a conversation with somebody and trying to see what they're doing versus waiting for someone to come start a conversation with me. And like I'm just more sure of myself. I'm more like, you know, if I feel like I can do this, I can do this. And the only one that can tell me, only one that can stop me is me. So like, even if I don't get it on the first try, that doesn't mean I can never do it. It just means I got to find a different way to try. Beforehand, it was, if I felt like I couldn't do something, or if I wasn't certain I could do it, I wouldn't even give it a chance.
And for other first years who might be feeling that right now, especially as it's being exacerbated by, COVID-19 and everything that's happening, and the physical distancing and the impact it has socially on our students, especially first years on campus who are trying to find a pathway to kind of navigate college. What advice would you offer them from some of your experiences, and then, just from your unique perspective on mental health and stuff that you've overcome as well?
I would say, firstly, with just this year and life in general being so different now because of COVID, it definitely is a lot harder to try to want to go out and do things, because like for one, there's not a lot of things that we do. Most things that we would typically do are, either not allowed or restricted very heavily because of COVID. So like maybe one or two people can be in a certain area at a time to do these things, but like not a large group as per usual. So like I can understand the, I don't want to say fear, but like the hesitance to want to try to do anything, because like everyone's so like, oh, what about COVID this, or can I even try this? But I would say like any opportunity that you do have to get out and just step out of your comfort zone, you should take it, even if it's like a small one or a huge one, because like you'll never know what you're capable of, or what you can even like, what you're willing to try. If you don't try anything, you'll only ever stay in that little bubble that you know of now, which I mean, for some people is fine, that they have may already found their path in life, that they're like, I'm certain this is where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do. And if that's the case, that's great, because it takes a lot of people a long time to figure out exactly what it is they're supposed to do in life. And if you found out at this young age as a freshman, you're doing better than me, because I'm still not even 100% sure what I'm supposed to do yet. But if not, just give everything a try, and just don't be afraid to fail. Like that is like probably one of the biggest things I would love to stress. So many people are taught that failure is like the end all be all. Like if you fail a test, if you fail this class, if you fail anything, you now are a loser, or you can no longer be successful in that field or that topic or anything, when that's not the case at all. It's just more experience, and it shows you, okay, you got this right, but you didn't get these right. So clearly you need to focus more on these things. You need to strengthen these tools. You need to hone these skills, not just since you failed, give up now. No, you got to try again. You have to just continuously be willing to take the bad with the good and keep moving forward, so that you can get more good from the bad. Again, if you do not try anything, you'll never be able to know what you're capable of, and you'll limit yourself to the very small and finite ideas that you have made at this point in life. Like, anyone is capable of anything. You just have to be willing to try and fail, because like no one is going to be amazing at anything the first time they try it. Some people may be like a little bit more advanced. Some people might be basic, and some people might be a little behind. By the end of the day, you have to have a starting point regardless. And from that starting point, you can only move forward. You'll never lose the skills you already have. You'll never backtrack from where you began. You can only progress more and more. And even if it's just a slow progression, as long as you're still moving forward, you're doing better than becoming stagnant and staying still.
And then I know you mentioned it a little bit where you weren't sure what you wanted to do next, but have you found passion in life, stuff that really drives you? And I know you mentioned service and uplifting other individuals, but have you really found that one core thing that, you know, kind of gets you out of the bed in the morning?
I can't say for certain. I have an idea that, again, like the community service and the nonprofit organization work is definitely something I genuinely and deeply care about. And I can see myself being involved in that type of field, community, whatever you would like to call it, for the rest of my life. Because again, I just genuinely enjoy so much seeing other people be able to realize their own potential, realize that they're worth more than what they believe or what other believes they are. Because like at the end of the day, you are your own limitation. So like seeing people break their own limitations and realize that they can break their own limitations is just so amazing. Because like it's so, I don't know how to explain it really. It's just such a genuine feeling. It's like, oh my goodness, like look at you. Like I knew you could do this, but now you know you can, and like now you can even do more. So like I feel like I would definitely be involved with something like that after school. I've definitely been in like here in Pittsburgh. I've been involved in a couple like nonprofit organizations over my career since high school, and I've been considering like maybe I'll get involved with them once I get done. I've also considered going back to like working at my school and being like a TA and helping some of the kids there because they again do so much non community engagement work along with I just really enjoy what the school is about and their goal towards helping promote knowledge to young kids and being more prepared for life afterwards. But like I don't have anything that's definitely set like, all right, this is what I'm trying to do. This is my aspirations and this is where I'm headed. I'm more so just like whatever I can do on this day is what I can do. And like I just feel good knowing I did something. Some days I definitely do wake up and I'm like, today's not the day. Today is a me day. And I need to just, maybe play some video games, listen to some music, maybe just take a nap. But most of the days I wake up, I'm like, all right, what can I do to help with somebody else? What can I do to help you reach your goal or anything? I just really enjoy helping others because I just haven't found my goal yet, I guess.
And, reflecting back on everything that you've done on campus since you arrived your first year, what has made you the most proud? What is something that, you're ready to tell your friends and family about immediately?
That was definitely difficult. Not difficult question, but I feel like one of the definite things that like I am proud of and like would like tell people a lot of all the time is like being a part of fraternity and being the president, but not only just like because of what most people believe of fraternities or the ideas they have on, but like the actual work and commitment that goes into all the things we really do, which a lot of people don't understand. Like a lot of people have this idea that frats or sororities are just, places you go party, have fun, you just hang out and, just waste time, which like that's a small portion of life. Like people hang out, people party, have fun with their own groups all the time. But like the amount of time and effort and commitment and sacrifice that is put into this place, it's something that like I'm so proud of. Like there's nothing I would ever regret. No amount of time that I spent in the house with my brothers or anything that I would want to give back to anything else because everything has always been a part of just the development, the growth, the whole experience. It's been so amazing being a part of a while maybe small, but a very strong and united group of young men that like have very similar while also different goals, but want to still see each other become the best that we can be. Like at any point in time, we all have so many different goals. Like, some of us want to be lawyers, some of us want to be artists, some of us want to be community organizers, some of us want to be CEOs. Like, there's so many different avenues that we all want to take. But yeah, we're all like, oh my God, like, yeah, I believe you can do that. You should try this out. Or I heard about this, this meeting to talk about these things. You should go to it. And it's just like constantly just being around like-minded, supportful, energetic people that are like, you can do this. Like, that has been a really big thing I've been proud of. That and like, I would say that and then the bond organization, honestly. Those are two things that I feel like I'm most proud of the work I've put in with these organizations, honestly. Because, like, again, it's just giving back, being supportful, trying to make others reach their potential, and just allowing others to know they have that ability to. It's just such a great feeling. Like, literally, I don't know how to explain. Like, other amazing or great. It's just so unbelievable. Especially like when like most people are just used to others telling people like, oh, you can only rely on yourself, or if you want things done, you always got to put in the work yourself. You can't trust others. You can't rely on others. Like, that's so crazy that people really believe that, because like the more we work together, the more people are able to lean on each other, support people, give them like, if you have these resources, and they need these resources, but they have the ones you need, why not come together? And then boom, everyone has what they need. Like, it's so amazing whenever people realize that and they can do those things. That feeling is just unbeatable, honestly.
And trying to think here. How was your experience with Theta Chi kind of propelled you to be this young individual who is so compassionate for other people? And I know you attribute a lot to your dad and to your dad's character, but how has Theta Chi kind of shaped that as well, created this type of environment where you can grow and be successful with other successful individuals?
It just all comes down to everyone a part of that place is just so genuine and so supportive. Like, the moment I walked in the door, the first time I met everyone, like, it just felt like I was just talking to people that I already knew somewhat, honestly. Like, it was just so comfortable, so informal, so just relaxed. Like, it was like it didn't feel like I was out of like a frat house or any like exclusive place. It felt like I was just walking into one of my friends' homes and like meeting them for the first time. And from that day on, it's been nothing but very personal, very supportive, very like, if you believe you can do it, then do it. And like, that's all it's really been to it. Like, everyone has been so charismatic, so like, oh, this is what I'm doing. If you want to help me, cool, I like that. If not, that's fine too. Do whatever you think you should do. And like, everyone's always willing to like, I have time on my hands. Why not? We all just constantly help each other out, do our best to support each other, go to each other's events, go to each other's games, anything. And just that feeling, that just knowing you have that type of support group and having those type of people that believe in you makes you be able to believe in yourself more. And it's just so amazing because like, it's not just you in the back of your head, like, okay, I know I can do this, I know I can do this. There's other people, which then shows a reflection, like, not only do you realize your potential, but these people do too. And it's not, and I don't want to say it's like necessarily you got to live up to their potential, but like, you have that feeling that you can. And it's not like pressure versus like when people, at least for me, like, I felt like I've been pressured a lot from, friends and family, and not on a negative way, just more so like they're like, oh, I know you can be this great. I know you can do all these things. But none of those things were ever things I wanted to do versus here, these people were like, oh, you want to do that? That sounds like a great thing. I know you can do it. So like, it's been so refreshing to have that type of energy in my life, that type of support. It's just that it's just allowed me to break free of all my old fears, my insecurities and everything. It's just made me be able to like, you know what? if I want to be anything in life, I can, especially with the support of these guys.
And I want to ask you a little bit, since it is Black History Month, I want to know a little bit about how do you celebrate Black History Month? What does it mean to you personally? And just kind of talk me a little bit about, even if Theta Chi is doing something, like throw that in there as well.
So every Black History Month, the usual stuff happens. People bring up, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, the like, I'm gonna say like the trinity of Black History Month. But I try my best, along with like a lot of my friends, honestly. We like try to post different facts about like Black historical figures that most people might not really know about. Because like everyone has the very generic idea of, the Black historical figures like I named beforehand, whatnot, but there's so many other unknown, unappreciated, untaught names that have done so much more for not even just like here, but the world in general, that never get taught about, never get any praise. And it's just so heartbreaking, honestly, to like see all these people who have put in so much time and effort and sacrifice to not get the recognition they truly deserve. So we try to like every day write a few like 3 to 5 sentences about anything, whether it be like, sports, science, health, historical events, anything, just to show some type of like recognition, praise, anything to these people. Cause like I said before, they typically don't get it in mainstream media. And I try my best to like, if not just within my group, to also like on like social media, whether it be like Facebook, Snapchat, or Instagram, when I post these facts that we create together and like just let the world know, like, all right, here's some things, like if you're interested, you can do a little bit more research into it, but like here's something you probably never heard of. And it honestly receives a lot of attention, and it makes me happy like whenever people see like, oh my God, I've never heard this, or I never would have known this, or like something of that sort. I'm like, yeah, because why would you? You never like. Well, what reason would you really have to look into these things to care? Because if the mainstream media is not out there pushing it, it's not something that is of value or is of importance. Whereas without these things, without these inventions, the advance in technology, these people going out and literally giving their lives basically to see a better tomorrow, we wouldn't be in the position we are now. So to not be able to take some time out of your day and just like, oh, educate yourself a little bit on these things, it's just so sad. So we try our best to do that.
And when you're thinking about prominent Black historical figures, besides the ones that immediately come to mind, like MLK, Rosa Parks, stuff of that nature, and you're thinking of the newer ones that you're learning about and the ones that you are also contributing to the rest of the society, like our community in particular, and saying, well, look, there are other figures beyond just the ones you've read about in a textbook. Can you think of which one comes to mind that has been the most impactful for you, one that, you can kind of relate to, or one that you feel should be shared and heard about?
I found it. This is one that we actually found today. So there was a man named John Mercer Langston. He was the first Black man to become a lawyer when he passed the bar in Ohio in 1854. When he was elected to the post of town clerk for Brownhelm, Ohio in 1855, Langston became one of the first African Americans elected to public office in America. Like, I guarantee a majority of people do not know that, but that's literally the first African American to be put into a public office, like voted in by the people. Like, that is such a landmark and it's so impactful, yet that's never talked about. Like, without that ever happening, if he was to never be that first person, like obviously someone else would be, but who knows when it would have been? Who knows when that door would have been open for others to then be like, oh my God, I can do that. I can have the ability to be in that position, or one even better, or one completely different. Like, just things like that. It's just people, there's so much knowledge and so much missed history that's just not told that can easily be found. People just take 5 to like 15 minutes out of their day to just do a little research and just educate themselves that may even possibly inspire you without you even knowing.
And for students who kind of feel traditionally excluded from opportunities, and I know you're an historically white fraternity, but Theta Chi has made waves in racial equity in particular, and ensuring that everybody on campus is welcome within Theta Chi. I've spoken with Abdi quite a bit about this topic, but what advice would you offer to those students who are maybe starting out, maybe their first years, maybe their sophomores, and kind of finding their ground? What advice would you give them moving forward? And then also you can do advice for anybody who wants to learn more about Black History Month too, people who want to go beyond what they read in maybe like their history class in grade school or something.
For those people who feel typically like excluded or outcasted from these type of groups, organizations, I would just say, like, for one, give yourself the opportunity to possibly even get like outcasted. Because like if you just feel that initially without that being the case, again, you're already limiting yourself to what you can do. You never really know who or what might like you or what might like, oh, this is a place for you if you don't try. So like you just have to get over that barrier of being afraid, being scared that of rejection or being told you're outcast or not. Because for one, even if you are considered an outcast from that group, that's fine. That's just clearly not what your group's supposed to be. Everyone's not meant to be put into the same group. Like there's groups for everyone for a reason. So like you just have to be willing to go out there and find what your group is. But also, I would say like you said, like Abdi is expressed a lot. Like Theta Chi is definitely a place where we are all very different. Like we're all so similar, but we're also different at the same time. And that's what kind of makes it so awesome, because like you can literally walk into one person's room and like, there might be like classical music, um, and meditating going on. You go 2 doors down, there's video games and hardcore rap going on. Downstairs, there might be people doing yoga. Like literally each room is like its own universe, and it's so different. You would never expect people like that are so different in their own environments to be able to come together and create the collective that we have. But that's what makes it so much better, because like we get to step out of our own worlds every once in a while and experience something different. Like, oh man, like I really enjoyed this vibe. It's nice to just step out of what I'm used to and experience something different for a little while, expand your own mind. But you know what, maybe I can find a way to mix and mingle both of our vibes together and whatnot. So like, you never know what your vibe might be able to mingle or mix with another until you try. So there's no reason to be afraid of being true to yourself and being unapologetically true to yourself and just letting who you are out. Because if you never do that, you'll never be your real self, and you'll never be, in my opinion at least, completely happy, because you'll be restricting yourself to some degree, especially if you're doing it to please or feel accepted by others. Because like you shouldn't want to have to feel like you're accepted by others by stopping or stunting things you want to do or not. Like if it's what you feel like you want to do, if it's something that you genuinely care about and it's a part of who you are, you should never want to hide that from people you want to be around. And for the people that want to just do more research and like learn more than they just have in, like you said, like elementary school or any of their own time, like the best place to start would honestly just be Google. Like just search of like, Black historical figures, Black historical facts, Black inventors. Like there's so many things that have been created that you would never know was created by a person of color in the first place, because it was either possibly stolen or just never given a credit to that they were the ones that had the initial idea for this. Like one thing that I found super funny, I found this out I think 2 years ago, was the person who created the gas mask was a Black man. I believe his name was, I think it was Langston, but I'm not 100% sure. But he created the first ever gas mask. And like when I saw a picture of it, it just looked so funny that I've made it my profile picture for some of my groups on GroupMe and whatnot. But like I'm just like, that's so dope. Like I would have never known or guessed that, because like that scene, it was created so long ago that, and that's the thing that's so crazy. It was created so long ago that history will have you believe that back then black people just didn't have any type of influence on anything. But that's just not the case. That's just the narrative that most people, including myself, believe at this point in life, because we've been taught so much about how, until like around, the civil rights movement and all that, that's when black people and people of color started getting, to have some say in things, have some actual influence on what was going around in the culture and whatnot. But even centuries before that, there were so many amazing historical black figures that have literally paved the way for life to be what it is now, but it's just unknown. And like I said, 5 to like 15 minutes, you could find so much out that even within that, you could just leave at those 15 minutes, but you know what? I learned a considerable amount. Or you might just be like, oh my God, this is so crazy. I just need to know more. Like, how did this become to be? Why were they never given the credit? Like, what happened? And so on and so forth. So, like, it's just a matter of deciding, I'm going to get off TikTok or social media for like 10, 15 minutes and just educate myself a little bit, learn a little bit, something new.
And, what does Black excellence mean to you? How is it exemplified? What are qualities and traits that you attribute to the term Black excellence?
That one I find like a little tricky, because I believe when most people think of the word Black excellence and what it's supposed to mean, they immediately fantasize this picture of like, Black men and women in like very white collar professional clothing at a business job. Maybe, you're a lawyer, a doctor, and like that's Black excellence because you now achieve this type of status that is what's perceived as elite or excellent or great. But like for me, I feel like it's just whenever Black people are just doing whatever it is they want to do to the fullest potential, whether it be athletics, arts, science, anything. Like as long as you are putting your all into it and you are genuinely doing it because you want to, then that's Black excellence. Because like there's so many different areas in life you can be excellent at, but only so many small ones are very promoted or mediaized and whatnot. So like I feel like it's just Black people doing what they feel like is right to its fullest potential, and like holding nothing back, letting nothing like sidetrack them, letting nothing scare them from wanting to give it their all. Like just being like, you know what, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm gonna go for it no matter what. So I feel like that's what Black excellence is, knowing that you're putting your all into it no matter what's gonna come out, and that you're committed to it.
And you talked a little bit about how the media kind of plays off this certain expectation of what it means to be, a Black individual, but also to be somebody that is perceived as being excellent. And I liked how you mentioned a lot that you don't have to follow what the media says is perfection. What the media says, this is what you have to be what we consider to be excellent. I like how you said, no, wait, look at the people who are artists, look at the people who are in the music industry, look at the people who, are putting their all into maybe like a company or something, and they're building it from the ground up, or they're putting everything that they wanted to, and they've got the position that they wanted. And to you, that means that that person has achieved excellence. I like that. It's something that I don't hear a lot. I have done quite a few of these interviews, and I've asked different types of questions like this, and everybody kind of gives me that cookie cutter answers. Well, when you achieve the highest, no, it doesn't matter. If you're on a step and you're working your way up, or even if you're like, no, this is where I'm happy, I feel content in everything that I'm doing, and I've reached what I wanted to do, that is excellence, and I think that that deserves to be acknowledged. So I wanted to ask you a little bit, how is that perception where you have to obtain this certain type of image to be considered excellent? How is that, I don't want to say toxic, that sounds like a weird word, but how is that like detrimental to somebody trying to, build the courage to say, no, I'm happy where I am and this is okay?
I would say it is I would say it is very toxic or even damaging to a lot of people because it then, for some people, causes this, as some call it, like identity crisis, where you have to feel like, all right, where do I want to be? Do I want to be this? Oh, I have to talk this proper way. I have to dress in this proper attire. I have to basically get rid of all of my individualistic qualities that I have developed and grown up with over time from wherever, your community or whatever it may be, and then assimilate to these specific checks and these specific boxes that you have to check off to then be considered excellent. Like, a great example I can give will be a personal one from mine. I was up at school one time having lunch with a couple of friends, and they started talking about astrology and the stars and stuff and whatnot. I didn't have much of an idea what they're talking about really though, because like I've never been too interested in that, but it seemed pretty cool. When we started talking about it, and I don't remember what exactly happened, but I ended up saying something that I guess to the other person seemed very smart and very like intellectual and whatnot. And it was like, oh my God, Des, if you're this smart, why do you dress like this? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what does my attire have to do with my intellect at all? Like, I wear this hoodie and these clothes because I like them, but that doesn't define who I am as a person or what I think. Like, all that's just in here. The outside is just what I want to portray to the world and what I want to express. If I want to wear my Spider-Man hoodie and some sweatpants, like that shouldn't have to do anything with talk about what my intellect level is. And like she was just genuinely so surprised. I was like I'm not upset about you saying that, but like, why is that? Why is my appearance what immediately equated to my intelligence? Like, I don't understand that. Or like, what else? One thing that I don't understand a lot of is like hair for a reason. There are people who like, oh, not everyone would consider, my braids or if someone has like locks in a very professional look. I'm like, but why though? Like, what about my hair doesn't show professionalism? Like, why do I have to have a certain cut or a certain style to then make people like, oh, that person is obviously someone that knows their stuff. That person is someone that can be trusted. That's someone that can be, they clearly have the wherewithal and the experience to be able to help me with the situation. My credentials should be able to show that. My resume should be able to show that. The fact that you could talk to my colleagues or my peers should be able to show that I'm clearly the right person for whatever situation you may need. And if it doesn't by those standards, that's fine, but not by just the standards of what I look like, what I talk like, or what I like to do in my free time. So I feel like a lot of that mainstream media and the way they portray it forces people to feel like the only way to achieve these certain levels, to achieve these certain careers, to achieve these certain praise, they have to make sure like, all right, I have to be this specific brand of thing to be able to excel in this field when that's not the case. As long as you're willing to put in the time that it requires, the sacrifice that it requires, and the actual commitment that it requires, then you can achieve anything. Nothing else is based on appearance. Like, so I feel like the media does create a very toxic and damaging idea for people, which then causes them to feel like they either are inadequate and can't be this thing just because they might miss one or two of the checks off from the box, when that's not the case at all.
And how do you think we can improve? I don't want to say as like a society, because that's a different conversation, but on our campus too. Like, how can we actively challenge those? I don't know exactly how to call them. They're horrible ideas. Like, they're horrible ideologies of how somebody must be to obtain an image. And I think a lot of that comes from like social media too, and some of the things that we've attributed to being up and out there, like the best of the best.
I would say the best way, honestly, is just for us to come together more, honestly. And I know that's really hard right now because of COVID, which makes things really unfortunate. But like, it's just a matter of everyone being able to be open enough and vulnerable enough to step into situations that they're not necessarily the most comfortable. Like, with all the clubs and groups we have on campus, it's all great and they want to do amazing things, But more than half the times, these groups are just filled with other believers that already are already on the same path, already have the same mission in mind and agree with whatever is going on, but they never do anything to reach out to the outsiders that either, I mean, not necessarily don't agree, but aren't showing participation clearly. And without us coming together, we're just creating echo chambers. Like everyone's just like, oh, this is a great idea, this is a great idea. But if you're not going out and telling the community this is a great idea, if you're not out going trying to get others to believe your idea is great and get it to change, it will do nothing than other just sit there. So I feel like we just need to be able to come together, hear each other out, be open to hearing outside perspectives of other things, and actually listen to other people. Because like there are sometimes people will go to the other events and like, you know, they'll show up, they'll be there, but they're not really there. They're just physically there, but they're not actually paying attention, actually trying to gain any knowledge or development from it. They're just trying to be like, oh, I went and I participated. And that is not necessarily a bad thing, because it's always a starting point. You have to be willing to, you know, start somewhere. Even if it is just showing up for you at first, that's totally fine. But we have to get to the point where everyone realizes that everything in this world depends on all of us. And if we want anything to change, we as a collective need to make that happen. We can't separately try to create one world together, because if we're all trying to create a different world, the one world we live in will be completely divided forever. So we have to be able to come together as one, realize we are all one people, and be like, what is next for us? Not for them or those or mine, but for us together.
And I like how you mentioned that we'll always be divided if there's not a sense of unity, if there's not like this kind of universal mission that everybody is working towards. And I couldn't help but relate back to basically everything that we've seen since I'm a sophomore, so I haven't been here very long, but the experience that I've had my first year compared to the experience that I had my second year, you know, COVID-19 aside, we have unveiled so much tension that has been boiling up because we have left it sit. And we've kind of been like, well, no, this is okay. I'm going to put it on the back burner for now. We talked about it. We discussed it. That's enough. But if you continue to let that sit and to let that brew, you know, you start having people who are frustrated. You start having people who are like, look, enough is enough. And I like how you mentioned that unity aspect, because if we don't collectively lobby together for change, it's not going to happen. You know, no one's going to sit there and say, well, A, B, and C have this problem, but you know, it's not necessarily my problem, so why should I care what they have to say? But when we make it everybody's problem, then that's where change is going to occur. So is there anything that, because you have more experience on campus than I do. I've literally only been on campus like 3 times, but because I've been remote, because I've been remote for like my entire sophomore and the end of my first year. So like, is there anything that you've noticed on campus where we can grow as a community by working together to do better, to pave that type of atmosphere that we want and that we say we want, but we just don't ever follow through on?
I feel like, and this is like something that happened last semester, whenever, I don't remember what the event was, but I know there was a very impromptu, like silent protest that we had in front of Ken's, where everyone came and was sitting down, and we were like very silent for a couple of moments. I really don't remember what sparked it. I think
The Brianna individual.
yes, that's what it was. Yeah, because after the I believe it was after they decided they weren't going to charge them or something like that. It was ugh. Either way. After we came together, I remember Abdi getting up and speaking to everybody and saying somewhat the same thing. Like, it's cool that people come out here and show support. It's cool that we're here collective right now, but what are we going to do after this? What are you going to go back to your dorms and talk to your friends about afterwards? Are we going to continue this conversation in our own time, in our own private spaces? Or is this all just for show? Is this all just like to feel like you're a part of something when you really don't want to have to put in the sacrifice, the commitment, the possible, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say unacceptance, but like, I can't think of the word. A possible unacceptance from other peers of like what your viewpoint is. And if we're not willing to like dedicate time outside of those moments, outside of those specific areas or settings, then nothing will grow farther than what happens in those spaces. And more than half time, like I said, it was a very impromptu and not a lot of people had much to really say or do. It was very powerful and nice to see everyone collectively there together and see that at least you know that there's some sense of wanting to change, some sense of the possibility of people coming together. It's just a matter of trying to figure out how to cultivate that, grow it, and watch it expand more. And honestly, right now, that is something I've been learning to do more with one of my Module 1 classes because I'm taking a class on community organizing. And it's been so helpful to see all the hard work and commitment that really goes into creating these like unions and these collective forces that you really have to start small and like just branch off through any means you can, whether it be networking through like friends and family, having other members get involved. You got to find one of the main points is finding organic leaders. And like by saying that, I mean people that are just naturally people that the group naturally goes to, people that like may not necessarily themselves consider themselves to be a leader, but everyone else like, oh, when something's bad, we go to them. When something's going crazy, we ask for their opinion. When something needs to be decided on, we always want to hear their viewpoint. Finding those people allows you to reach a larger audience that you may not have been able to reach beforehand. Because like, say you got a group of people who just completely don't want to hear your side or don't want to agree with anything, but you get one of their buddies that they all look up to at least consider it or come to a meeting and sit down and talk with you. If you can, not even necessarily change their perspective, but just get them like thinking about it and get that conversation rolling in their own area, that can cause such a dramatic change that will be then so influential and powerful to the collective in the end. So like trying to find those organic leaders, being committed to having these conversations outside of just that one space, that one meeting, and being committed to it. Just being like, you know what, this is something, this is change I genuinely want to see. And whether or not other people are going to be committed to it, I'm going to be committed to it. Because then you know at least there is some small, but still some amount of commitment, energy, and support going into this thing. And as long as you have something, then it can still go. You just got to be willing to hold yourself down, be like, I'm going to do this because I want to do this. And whoever hops on with me, I thank you, I appreciate you, and we'll just keep going.
And what kind of struggles have you noticed when trying to get individuals to come together collectively? I guess I was struggling there, because we did see like they came together for the Breonna Taylor vigil. I'm going to mention that one. But what came after that? The email came after that. Everything that came out of that email, and it was like, are we taking 2 steps backwards, or are we trying to go forward? Like, what advice would you have? You can even give it to the administration, give it to students, whoever, who just want to be a part of this and do something that's going to push us forward. Let's stop taking 2 steps back and let's start focusing on taking 2 steps forward.
I would say with that, the hardest part is just the fear of what will happen if I try, I guess. And like, that's one of the biggest things for like, not even just college people, but like people involved in unions, people at their workplaces that want to see change. It's always the fear of, if I don't go with what the establishment wants, if I go against the grain, what will happen to me? Will I lose my job? Will I lose my scholarship? Will I be told my grades are going to go down because I'm being defiant? And it's just got to be what you prioritize more. Do you care about, just yourself and what's going on now, or do you actually care about the change? Do you actually feel like there needs to be systemic change within the community, within the government, within the world, like, and what you're willing to sacrifice? Because there are times people do have to take those L's, and like, you may get fired, you may be met with backlash, you may end up doing bad on one assignment or even a semester. But if you know that in the end, it's all going to be met with change and progression for everyone, and that's what you're committed to, then that's all that matters. Like, every battle has like its little fights in between. And like, sometimes you get hurt, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But as long as you win the war at the end, that's all that matters. Like, you can't ever go into anything expecting everything to just work out perfectly in your way. Like that's just not that's just not how life works. You can have the most thought out plan. You could have looked over every possible what ifs and scenarios and have them all like, I got a plan B, C, D, all the way to Z, but something will still just come up and you will be put back. And it's just in those moments, you got to decide, is this what's going to cause me to stop? Is this going to be enough to tell me that, you know what, I don't care enough about this situation. I don't really want to see actual change be made. Or you'll be like, you know what, this is just a reminder of why change does need to be made, why we do need to come together, and why we need to fight even harder. Because clearly they're acknowledging that they see our change trying to be made, and they don't want that. No system is ever created to be changed. Systems are created to cultivate and manipulate people into creating that, to keeping that system alive. Like, that's the whole point of a system. The moment you try to go outside of a system and work around it, the system has to combat it. It has to try to protect itself so it can live on. So it's just a matter of being committed to the hard work, being committed to your goal, and knowing that what you're doing is what you want to do.
And, you know, one step along the way, because there are different like resources that you can go, there are different avenues that you can take to propagate that change. And, you know, I think it warrants conversation that, you know, one person's path is going to be different than the next person's path. And I think we see that a lot with our student leaders on campus. You know, perhaps some people take the traditional route where they work straight with the administration. Perhaps some people express it through art. All of that comes together and it all creates this type of mentality where if we work together and we want to see this change, that there is a way to do it. But I think we noticed a lot, I'm going to say like last semester, that sometimes it almost feels as though it's impossible. Like you're taking on something that's so big and yet you feel so small. But when we're all together, it kind of, you know, it uplifts you. You feel that type of spirit where, wait, we might be one small portion of the system, but at the end of the day, if there are a bunch of us all coming together, we're gonna be a pretty big portion of that system. So I was like curious if there was anything that, any recommendations you would make or something of that nature to anybody who's like listening. I don't know who's going to watch this, but whoever does watch this somewhere along the way, hopefully gets to the right people. If they want to make change within their community, it doesn't even have to be at Allegheny. Maybe somebody, because this is going to be on YouTube, so maybe somebody like, I don't know, thousands of miles away is watching this and feels inspired. You know, what would you say to them? What type of inspiration would you offer to them?
First, I would say just be certain. Not even be certain. First, know that you can do whatever you want to do. Like, that's just a definite. Like, you need to not only know that, but you have to truly believe that. If you don't wholeheartedly believe that what you're doing is possible, then it won't ever happen. Because at some point, anything that crosses your brain or shows you that there may be a slight chance of failure, you'll run immediately, because that feeling of failure is just so immense that you just don't want to really feel it. So you have to be sure that I can do this, I can put in the work, I can withstand the storm and come out strong no matter what. So that's definitely the first thing. Secondly, it's just a matter of gaining that traction, gaining support, and creating solidarity. So like, you have to go out there, and even though you may have something you want to change, when not, other people have things they want to change as well. So you have to play to that side of them, I guess. You have to go out there and meet with people. Like, what is it that you want to change? It's 2 o'clock. There you go. You gotta figure out like what it is that you want to change, what it is that they want to see be different about their community, about their environment, anything. And then from there, you're like, okay, we have similar goals. If you help me and I help you, we can make these changes happen. These changes will never happen without me or you doing them, though, because like, you may have 3 things you want to change that no one else wants to change at all, or even thought about or considered, because they think it's just impossible to change. And if you never try it, those things will never be changed. Whereas now, if you do give that chance of possibility, other people might come along, but you know what? I want to see that change too. Now that someone's doing it, I feel I have the ability to do that. A lot of people are always so afraid to take that first step. And like, it's understandable. It's new, it's foreign, it's not what everyone else is doing, it's going against the norm, which makes you odd or weird, which no one wants to be, but everyone truly is. Everyone is weird. No one is normal because there's no such thing as normal. There is no, this is what a normal person is. This is what a normal person does. Like, that's all just whatever we believe or whatever our community tells us. But you have to understand, like, everyone is individual. Everyone has their own feelings, their own experience, their own passions. And that's what makes us all so amazing, because we all live our own lives while we're living our lives together. So if we're able to come together, realize that, and see that we need each other to create a better place, then that will allow so much change to happen so much faster. So that was my second thing. And then thirdly, just know that before these big systems existed, they didn't. Like, they did the same thing that we had to do. They had to slowly build themselves up. They had to not only convince themselves, but convince us that without these systems, we couldn't continue to live on. We can't progress without this system. If this system was to collapse, we would just die for whatever reason, which that's not the case, because before they were here, we were living just fine. You know, it may have made things a little bit more convenient. It may have made things a little bit easier for some people in the beginning, but clearly now there is a group of people, you know, a large group of people seeing that there's change that needs to be had. And yet the small group of people who are benefiting from the system don't want that to happen. So, like, if you see there's more that want change versus the little who don't, you would imagine that the big group would beat the little group, but they convince us so much that it's impossible to beat them because they're a big group, when in actuality, we are the ones running their big group. So just knowing that we have the ability, you have the potential, and that everyone has to come together. Like, that's the only way.
And I'm going to ask you a question about student leaders in particular. Why is it important for people to not only recognize student leaders on campus, but to share their stories? That's something that we as an institution don't do. It's very seldom you'll see like a student featured, aside from somebody who's achieved like a certain level of status, you know, per se. And you see a lot of the alumni stories, but you don't see our students. You don't hear what our students are doing. And if you're not focusing on the present and you're focusing on the past, then we're never going to be able to achieve anything. So, like, why do you feel it's important that we share these stories and we let people know, like, wait, there are people on campus right now who are trying to do exactly what you say you want to do, yet you fail to acknowledge them?
I feel like that's very key, just because, for one, we somewhat unfortunately live in a world that everyone somewhat, like, not necessarily needs it, but almost expects immediate gratification for the little things they do. Whether it be, like, you know, posting stuff on social media and then you get a bunch of likes, you're like, oh my God, that's clearly a great post because everybody liked it so fast. Or maybe you did a chore at home and you know, get like, oh, good job, thank you for doing that one. We're just so used to that constant, like, that constant dopamine release that people would get from being told that they're doing something right, that they're doing good, getting likes, whatever. So to be doing this hard, strenuous work at college, at this college in particular, to be doing the things that these students do, the experiments, the research, the sacrifice, the hours of no sleep and trying to, you know, write out a 20-page paper, like, and to not get any type of recognition, not get anything, just like even a good job. It's so defeating almost somewhat, because like, you're like, I'm doing all this hard work, I'm putting all this energy, but I never see any of the gains from it necessarily. Like, you know, you get your grades and all, and that's cool, but like, if no one else is outside of that giving you any recognition, I don't want to say it automatically makes you feel like you're doing nothing, but like, at least for me personally, sometimes that's how I feel. And it's so weird because, like, there are moments where I'll get random recognition from people and it makes me feel good, but like, if what I'm doing isn't being seen, if what I truly care about isn't being acknowledged, it makes you feel like, what is the point then? Why am I doing this if others don't see the potential behind it, the amazement that I get from it? So for people to have their stories be shared and recognized more, and just like, it don't have to be praised, but just like the acknowledgement would just give such a spark to people to know, like, other people are seeing the hard work I'm putting in. So it's clearly doing something, whether it be, you know, inspiring others, just letting people know that this is a possibility. Is just a good feeling. So if we were able to do that more, I genuinely feel like it would make a lot of students more energetic and not satisfied, but like, what is the word? Inspired to want to do more and put more into their work because they know others will see it. They know others will be able to somewhat judge what they're doing, and like not in a negative light, but like they'll just see it like, oh my, like that's such like that is high caliber work. I could tell you clearly put in months of research. I could tell you cut back from hanging out with friends or going out or whatever. You like maybe miss a super important event that was important to you to then invest your time and sacrifice into this instead. And I applaud you. Like that would just make so much more people feel like what they're doing is actually worth their time.
And I like how you mentioned at our school in particular, and you like we can go and we can talk about everything that's happening nationally and the recognition, especially during COVID-19, where everybody is worn down, not only physically from the disease that they have it or the sickness, or even the fact that the strains that it's placing on people not being around your family, not being around your friends. That's a horrible time to be living. It's a horrible time to be a college student too, in particular, especially somebody who's trying to like build those networks, build those connections, find that support system for them. And I think especially when we're talking about a school like Allegheny, yes, we're a small liberal arts school, but at the end of the day, we have a very rigorous academic schedule. There are some times that I'm in meetings from the time I get out of class until the time I'm ready to go to bed. I can't tell you how many times I like skip lunch or something, and it's just so I can make sure that I had everything set up. And it's coming to that point where if one student's doing it and another student's doing it, and then that 10 times that is happening, then you just don't know it, that you're having a bunch of students all independently working on something, and they're the only ones that are motivating themselves. Maybe their cat is a good motivation, maybe their mom, maybe something like that, something that they find joy in. But like when it's not being recognized and it's not being acknowledged, sometimes it could feel like, why am I doing this? Why do I continue to put forth this effort if at the end of the day, I don't know if it's going to do anything? Or, you're entering that big uncertainty and you're sitting there and you're putting in hours of dedication, hours of work, and you're like, I have no idea if this is going to work out in the end. And when somebody's not there with you saying, no, you're doing the right thing, you just got to, have faith, keep going, push through. Sometimes that can be really detrimental to somebody who wants to propagate change, who wants to go in and do that and wants to challenge, maybe they want to challenge systems, maybe they want to just challenge something in the classroom, stuff of that nature. It doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is, everything matters to that individual, and it should matter to everybody else. And I think it's really interesting, though, that we could be such a small school and have such a close-knit community and feel so far apart. And I think that's really interesting. And I know COVID-19 kind of factors into that quite a bit. But if we just started to care more and just actually be decent human beings, it might change a lot of how, our students in particular perform academically during a pandemic, but also the way in which we go about addressing these issues. We have that. We're very prideful in the fact that we are multidimensional. We go at things from all different angles and we try and tackle all these big, huge problems, but nobody knows the individuals who did that. They only know the idea and the result. And I think when you don't acknowledge that, that kind of shies people away from wanting to do it again. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I definitely totally agree with that. Like you said, we are a very small and close-knit community, but at the same time, we are so almost somewhat like segregated, honestly. And it's like, it's so weird because like the school itself tried to promote this idea of how, diverse and inclusionary that we are. And like, it definitely has the aspects to be a much more inclusionary and diverse campus. It's just the people have not fully taken the opportunity to its potential. Like, and at the end of the day, that just comes down to us wanting that place to be what it can be, honestly. Like, we collectively have to be like, you know what, I do want to be this very diverse, inclusionary collective. I do want to be this huge, like, melting pot of like anything. But like, I feel like it's just still so hard for so many people to want to step out of their comfort zones, want to be like, you know, I'm gonna go to this. I'm gonna go to the ICA meeting, or I'm gonna go to a BGM meeting, or I'm gonna go to a Latinx meeting because it's not what their culture or what they're known of or what their friend group is a part of. But like, if you have interest in it, you should want to be like, you know, these people, like, you should want to just learn a little bit about all of it, just because like these are people that you will live with for the next 4 years. Like, this community is your new home. Like, at least that's how I view it. Ever since being there, like whenever I'm at school, I feel like that is my world, that's my home, that's my community, where I have been able to come into my own and become this new person. Like, being here at my house, you know, it's nice being home in my house in my hometown, but it doesn't. I don't feel like the same me as I am when I'm at school, when I'm able to be in that world and be the president of my fraternity, the person involved in bond, or the person going around and knowing the people on campus. That's like a whole different feel. And that's only because I would allow myself to be like, you know what, I want to learn more about these people. I want to learn more about these individuals that I see every day, that I eat lunch with, that I play basketball with, that I invite into my home. And like, it's just a matter of everyone wanting to get to know everyone more, and not even accept people, but just learn to live with them and like be happy that like, oh, like this is my neighbor, this is my college peer, this is like these are people of my community. And like, that's the biggest part. Once you understand that this is our community and it all revolves around us, that's when the change can really happen. People are so worried about just their group or just themselves in general, because unfortunately, not everyone finds a group, which is like very detrimental. Like, not being able to have that support, not being able to have those people to rely on, it makes it so much harder to want to try to like, I got to care about everyone if you're already not caring about anyone. So it's just like a matter of like cultivating that sense of community, kinship, and understanding that even if whatever this person might be struggling with or might be causing them a little stress isn't affecting you, it still should be, though, because it's affecting a member of your community, which then affects the community as a whole. Because if this one person can't do their part and can't, you know, be themselves, give their energy, be that energetic thing or not, that might cause the whole campus to be like, oh man, like the feng shui, the feel, everything's just off. So like, it's just a matter of everyone wanting to be more considerate, more caring, and just like, you know what, these are my people in my community. I want to see my community become better, for everyone to be expressing themselves, to be comfortable and not have any fear of rejection, being outcasted, being told you shouldn't belong. Like, none of those should be any fears on that campus. And I don't want to say that they necessarily are, but like, I know a lot of people don't want to venture out from their groups because of fear of that possibility.
And I think with regard to events, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So I come from we're like I'm going to call it like a rural white town, but it's like, we're not necessarily a city. We're far enough away from Pittsburgh that it's more like the suburban areas. So when I first came to Allegheny, that was the first experience I ever had to so many different cultures all in one area, everybody working together and living together. It was my first experience. And I think for a lot of our first years who maybe have that same background, they're missing out on that. That's something that they're not going to get to experience. And what is that going to do to them in the very end? Like, what's that going to happen? Like, what does that lead to at the very end when you're leaving Allegheny College and you never had that fundamental experience of living and learning with somebody who's different than you, living and learning and appreciating somebody else's culture? That's something that is so important and so vital to our community, especially because we're so small. We are such a small campus and we have such a small student population that if we all took the time and effort to actually go out and show compassion, go to those events. It doesn't matter if you feel uncomfortable. It doesn't matter if it's something that you're not used to, but go out and show support. Go out and actively participate. Be present with everybody that's there. And I think if we were able to do that, and I know with COVID-19, we've kind of had that little bit of restriction, but if we all collectively just agree that we're just going to support each other, you know, at the end of the day, students supporting students is so much more important than, you know, one individual trying to support themselves. And if we all go to each other's events and we're all supporting each other and we're creating this community that people want to come see, they want to come visit, they want to come and enjoy what we've created together as a student body, then I think we'll find that a lot of the issues we saw even over the fall semester will kind of go away. If we start actively caring about one another and stop caring so much about our academics that we place that on the top tier and the people that we're living and learning with below it, then we would be so much better off as a community. We would have so much more, ways that we can use our resources more efficiently, ways that we can propagate other students' success beyond just, oh, you graduated, fantastic. No, you graduated, but what are you going to do next? Stuff of that nature. That's something that we should care about. We shouldn't just care about, oh, well, I graduated like top 10 in my class. That's fantastic. But how many lives did you touch while you were there? How many people are you taking with you out of here? And I think that that's really important. And it's not something that we typically do. It's at least not something I've experienced personally. I've been to a lot of the different events, but the same people go. And when it's the same people going, then it's not really helping anybody. If you're the only person there and you're learning for the first time, that's fantastic because you're doing individual growth. But if you're not bringing your friends with you, then how are you helping them? How are you helping anybody become any better? You're one person. But when you have a whole group of friends that could be coming with you, even if they're like, I don't know about that. No, just come on. For real, come on. This is something that you're going to be doing on like a Saturday or a Friday. Are you kidding me? What are you doing? Not to be rude, but like, what are you really doing on a Saturday or Friday besides like in your room, in your dorm? And I think if we started adopting that type of approach to life, we would be so much better off, especially in Allegheny, where we have the perfect climate to do this. Such a small community, the events that we have, and the area that we're surrounded by, there's not much else to do in Meadville. So if you actually start supporting the students on campus who are having these events for you, we would be better off. We definitely would. And I feel very bad for our first years who won't get to experience that, who kind of have had that like pack and go type of experience. They haven't had that, let me sit down and talk to you and tell me why this is important to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely do feel very bad for like the first years and the sophomores as well, honestly, because like while the like people that are sophomore now, they had some whatever experience their freshman year, but COVID like in that short with spring break and like cutting it all off. But for the freshmen to just come in and not be able to have any idea of what the community and what the experience was like beforehand is just so it's unfortunate. Like, for them, they don't really know what they're missing out on because they never had it. But just like to know what they could have had and to see that they're not getting the full experience, I just feel bad for them because like just little examples like late night Kins. That's like one of the best things ever. That's like one of the best experiences you'll ever have with a bunch of people that you would never typically see that late at night, getting food and just hanging out, recapping how the night went. It's just such a great vibe. Everyone's just so happy. Everyone's just enjoying themselves. And to not be able to just have that simply is just like, it was so devastating for me, honestly. Like just kids in general just not being the same with us having to order online, come in and leave versus being able to go in there, go to the grill, walk around, communicate with anyone else around you, just like happen to say hi to the people you walk past. Like all those little things that we used to have, those in-person conversations, those random meetups, everything. It's so unfortunate to not be able to have that anymore and for them to never be able to experience that at the moment at least. Because I really do hope that at some point in time throughout their career here at Allegheny, those things begin to come back. Because like you said, like college, yeah, the grades and the knowledge you get from it definitely matters. But it's more so, at least for me, my idea is the experience is more of the real importance there. The who you meet, who you involve yourself with, and like what you decide to spend your time on. Because like I know for a fact, I definitely prioritize my friends and my fraternity over my academics to a degree sometimes. And in those moments, I might like, well, no, in those moments, I didn't regret it at all. Like I've always like, this is what I need to be doing this instead. This person needs me. This requires my attention more than this assignment. This assignment won't define who I am, but this can define the relationship me and my friends have forever after this. So like, I've always cared more about the actual personal experiences versus the academics. Cause I know like I can always redo a class. I can always learn this or read this book at some other point in time, but I can't always be there when someone needs me because they might not always need me. I might not always be able to be there for them. There may be a time where I'm so far away or so involved with something else that I can't just do it. Whereas in this moment, I do have the opportunity. They're right here. So why wouldn't I? Why would I be like, no, this book assignment, this paper is more important than you and an actual person. Like, so to not be able to have those actual experiences, to not be able to network and meet those people and just have the typical college experience in general is just so unfortunate because, like, at this point, it's kind of almost like, what are you really paying for? It's especially at this school. I'm not gonna lie, it gets pretty high priced to be. Then like the academics and all the learning is definitely worth it, but without the other aspects of just a college life and what you would get out of it on this campus, with it being so small and like the community is versus a large campus where you see random people every day that you don't know, and having the experience to actually develop a relationship with these people, have that being taken away, it's definitely like so unfortunate.
Sorry, that's my mom.
Sorry.
I agree. I think moving forward, there's stuff that we could do just as a student body beyond just relying on the administration to make those changes too. If we just decide and we full-heartedly support the fact that we are tired of being divided, we are tired of feeling as though, you know, we're on this very small campus together, but yet we are so far away. You know, it feels like the corners of the campus in terms of the different groups on campus, and it's like we don't intermingle with each other enough. And when we do that, we prevent growth. We can't grow as a community if we don't start talking, if we don't start having those necessary conversations and that necessary collaboration to do better. If we just decide that we are okay where we're at, that's fine. But guess what's going to happen at the end? We're just going to be in the same place we were a couple years ago. We're going to be in the same place we were fall semester if we don't start actively working together, if we don't start supporting one another. When we have events and they're scarce and they're few and far in between because of COVID-19, show up. It's not that hard. Show up. And I know like participation rates are really, really low for individuals going on like online events. If you started showing up, they wouldn't have to worry about whether or not they should put in the time and effort to host that event if somebody would be willing to show up and support them. And I think that would go a very far way in creating a step in the right direction. If we don't start addressing the systemic issues first and foremost, then we are not going to have that type of change that we want to see internally. But if we can control our outside and then work on the inside, that's going to do so much for not only student morale, but it's going to lead to a lot of different conversations. And you're going to have more people participating. You're going to have more people, you know, before it was you, your friend, and maybe Sally Joe from down the block or something. Well, I guess we're not on the block, down the dorm halls. And that's fantastic. But if it could be you, Sally Joe, and 50 other people, that's going to be more powerful than just the 4 people to begin with. I don't know. It's a lot of interesting thoughts. And I know we did this as like a feature and then we started having these conversations. But I mean, I think it's important. Wherever the conversation goes, it was meant to happen. And I really, really appreciate having the time to talk to you and get to work out these conversations and to get to know you more as not only a student leader, but as a person first and foremost. A person, not only a person of worth, but a person who is willing to do so much more for everybody else. And that speaks volumes about your character. It speaks volumes about your family and everybody that you surround yourself with, that you would be willing to not only share that with me, having not really known me at all, but also be willing to share that publicly with everybody else. So I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate just having an opportunity to speak my piece and, you know, engage with the community and you, and just, like I said, this opportunity was just really nice. Like when you messaged me and asked if I'd be willing to do this, I would just like, yeah, I would love to. Cause like, for one, I just really just miss the community. I miss being on campus. I just miss the whole environment. Like I said, like that is my world versus here. I more so feel like, you know, this is my old world. This is my old life. But like Allegheny has given me a whole new life, a whole new meaning, a whole new possibility. And like anytime I have the ability to try to help others realize that they can do the same and realize like this may be the place for them, that is always just awesome for me. Cause like I genuinely feel like coming here and everything that I've done since being here has been what I've been meant to do. And it's been so funny because like everything I have done, if I was to think back to just like 5 years ago, I would not be involved in a majority of the things I'm involved in at all. And it's just so crazy because like all of it has been so beneficial. It's been so amazing. And it just helped me so much, not only become a better person and like realize a lot of things about myself that I have not been able to over the years due to just neglect of wanting to and fear of trying to, but also just like all the amazing people I've met along the way, all the amazing experiences I've had, and like just stuff like this, honestly. Like it's all been so awesome. And I'm just so proud to say I've had the ability and the opportunity to do these type of things so far.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna end the recording, then we can continue talking.